It's time for our daily dose of the Leopards Ate My Face post. So this one's titled, Thanksgiving will be incredibly stressful this year for obvious reasons. Perhaps this version of Psalms 23 will bring solace and calm to the now faceless millions. Leopards are my choices. I shall make no better. They maketh me lie down in unethical places. They leadeth me beside murky waters. They confuse my soul. They leadeth me on the path of bad decisions for their own sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of leopard-infested shadows, I will act surprised at the consequences, for I never saw this coming. Their growls and their teeth, they astonish me. They prepare a table before me with no actual food, only misleading promises. They anoint my head with regret. My confusion runneth over. Surely bites and scratches will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the den of face-eating leopards forever. Psalm 23, Leopards Ate My Face version. May the hearer be blessed, and be blessed shall thou be. I feel blessed as I read that. Hopefully you do too. Now let's get into some of these posts. This person posted this saying, the sad patriot who wants Orange Man to fight for their civil rights. This is a sign, and the sign is, I can't read it very well, but thankfully, Fruit Brute typed up what it said. Fruit Brute says she voted for Donald and now she wants the president-elect to know that she has a learning disability and did not receive equal pay that a person with a disability in this country should get. After all, the Civil Rights Act and Americans with Disability Acts that were passed under the Democratic Senate and Congress in past years should continue to help to afford her equal protection under the law. Someone, somewhere, please let the president-elect know. And they say at the bottom, and for those that can't read the text, President Donald Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, please help me. Justices for Valerie, email redacted. The redacted Veterans Hospital unjustly terminated me after 23 years of employment. To conceal, I, as a female with a learning disability, did not receive equal pay. Please help me to be compensated for not receiving equal pay, to be reinstated back as an employee at the VA. So she's asking Donald Trump, hold on, she's calling on the First Lady Melania Trump, who was wearing a jacket that says, I don't care, do you, to help her, because these people just seem to care about folks. That is hilarious. One Big Cactus says he got your vote the last time, so he won't be needing you anymore. Something about bootstraps and all. Inhale Corn says Trump's going to pull him up by the bootstraps and hang him with it. Fadoofus says Trump's going to give them all an economic turbo wedgie. The person at the bottom says he'll pull them up with Trump brand laces made in China, available to you for the low price of $149.99 per lace. That's kind of harsh. That's kind of harsh for some laces. Oh well, I got some. I got some old ones too, so I won't need that. So I first saw this post in the Leopards Ate My Face, but then I went over to the conservative subreddit where it was popping off. This one is titled, Tariffs will make stuff more expensive. That can't be right. Come on. Why did no one tell me this might happen? So let's look at this post. Before I go over to the conservative subreddit, this person says Trump's #1 campaign promise are unilateral import tariffs on all trading partners. Every economist and person with common sense stated this would hurt the U.S. economy. Some Trump voters are waking up to the fact that maybe the leopard tariffs will be eating their own faces. Shocker. Rosary says they act like bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. wouldn't take decades and that it wouldn't make everything way more expensive. And then Admin Yak says, and if it's brought back, you know damn well it's going to be automated before a human worker is hired to do it. So, like I said, I went over and I found it in the conservative subreddit, and this person titled it, Can someone give me the counter argument to all the Trump tariff headlines I've been seeing across all media lately? He said, or he or she says, we all know about Trump's alleged plan to tariff 25% to China, Mexico, Canada, etc. And a vocal fear-mongering majority thinks it looks scary on paper, giving leftist pundits ammo for days or weeks on why Trump tariffs are bad. But what is the actual counter argument to these headlines? And more importantly, any substantive discussion, if such a thing exists, around Trump's purported tariff proposals. I've done the research and have mixed feelings about what the tariffs might mean realistically for U.S. citizens, and I'm looking for substantive and realistic counter arguments to the TDS anything Trump-related bad stuff relating to tariffs out there. Intelligent discourse appreciated. Thanks. And for some people, if you don't know what TDS stands for, it stands for Trump derangement syndrome. They think that us talking about how bad this is going to be is a derangement syndrome, when these are universally going to be bad for us. He ran on this. So it's wild that this person says Trump's alleged plan to tariff. Trump campaigned on this. And then he spoke about it earlier this week. He keeps talking about this. This is what he wants to do. So us talking about the ramifications is not us being overblowing anything. Okay, let's look at some of the comments. This is the positive outlook of tariffs. Tough in the short term, since it'll make things cost more, but better in the long term because it'll create more jobs and bring back manufacturing to the U.S. I personally am very against it, and in hoping it's just a negotiating tactic rather than legitimate policy. Just like that other person said, they really do think that this is going to bring manufacturing back to the United States, which it won't, because they don't want to pay the United States workers what they'll demand here. But that is kind of what Cecil O'Brien is saying only problem is American labor costs considerably more, so the price of goods will remain at an elevated level since these tariffs ultimately get passed on to the consumer. So in long term, goods cost more as well. I also hope it's just a negotiating tactic because sustained tariffs are inherently inflationary and we don't need more inflation. So this person, who is a conservative, is pretty much saying the same thing we are saying, that is going to cause costs to go up. So it's not just Trump derangement syndrome. This conservative says, yeah, I didn't suggest prices will come down. Just in the long term, it should have the positive impact of bringing jobs and manufacturing back to the U.S., which hopefully brings wages up. But yeah, the higher prices of goods is not what was campaigned on. Oh, the delusion. Cecil says, I don't think there's any scenario in which prices come down to pre-COVID levels. This is where I'm torn because I'm not an economist. But if we bring more jobs back to the United States manufacturing, this results in higher wages, or at the very least, more creates jobs. All seem to be positive impacts. Maybe it meant to say creates more jobs. However, when we create more jobs or increase wages to current jobs, this also creates more demand on goods and services, which in turn fuels price growth. Supply and demand 101. I'm still trying to figure out what if job growth at the expense of tariffs and higher costs of goods is beneficial for us. Personally, I'm fine with maintaining the current tariffs and would rather see job growth stem from a large investment into homegrown energy like oil and nuclear. We can create jobs and become energy independent in the process while hopefully reducing fuel prices. Avo Toast is great says, I work in manufacturing and communicate with a lot of different factories in China on the daily. The first round of tariffs were a bit hard on our company at first, but we eventually found workarounds. We did have to raise prices a bit, but not much. A lot of the Chinese factories that we work with ended up opening factories in Thailand and Vietnam to avoid the tariffs on China. Certain products have higher tariffs than others, and for those specific products, we started importing them as parts and assembling them here in the US. I'm all for equal trade and using tariffs as a negotiating tool. If a country has high tariffs on our goods, then we should be placing the same tariffs on their goods. I'm against a universal tariff, though. I think it would be very detrimental. And if the goal is to bring manufacturing back to the US, then companies need the time to make these adjustments. A lot of companies here aren't set up for such manufacturing. It's wild when people who are conservative say the same thing is not derangement. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think about these. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Now, for a few miscellaneous things. I saw this in the Facepalm subreddit. They asked the question, is it getting better or is it getting worse? Elon Musk put out a tweet saying those who break the law will be arrested, and that includes mayors. That apparently does not include president elects, considering he is a 34-time felon. But Mehdi Hassan says nothing to see here, just the world's richest man, technically still just a private citizen, threatening to arrest democratically elected officials. This is what oligarchy looks like. Katie says, except we just watched a man commit crimes, be found guilty of some of them, get elected, and all his legal consequences are just fluttering away. Future Swordfish says, exactly, WTF. Dr. Martin says, the start of a dictatorship. Backwards Spellcaster says, you won't need to vote again. He effing told openly what he wants to do, and people went, yay. Sonia says, he just tells it like it is. Y'all can't handle it. Yeah, that's what we're worried about. He's literally going to raise prices on everything, take away your health care, make sure billionaires get richer, and deport part of the nation. These people are so wrapped up in making sure liberals are upset. Well, we are. I'm sorry that we tried to make sure this country could be better for everyone. F us, though, right? Mandatory Pie says they define their entire personalities as antagonism to anyone trying to prevent negative change. Now they're going to suffer the consequences of their action. The only problem is they're taking everyone down with them. Yep, all of us get to pay for this, but we get to watch, and some of us are at least bracing ourselves for the damage that's going to be done. This was also in the Facepalm subreddit. This person titled it America's Future Generations. Is this who I'm supposed to save the glaciers for? All right, so this alpha male named Octavius Rex says, I am white. I am heterosexual. I am 6'4". My parents are wealthy. I went to Catholic school. I use racial slurs. I'm homophobic. I have a boat. I go fishing. I bully liberals in school. I have a Costco membership. I use chewing tobacco. I am the left's greatest fear. If I was walking and I saw a real tall man and I'm at the grocery store or something, if I'm in Costco, for example, I would just wait till he got his yogurt or his milk or his eggs, and then I would just get my yogurt, eggs, or whatever, and then keep it going. How is anybody just randomly supposed to fear him simply because he's tall and a white man? Like, these people really overblow themselves, like their ego, yeah, his imagination and ego are really fueling his delusion. Quasi Crazy says Costco membership, it's a very liberal company. This guy seems much more Sam's Clubs. Excellent Routine says it's not like every big metro in California has Costco. The LA area has like 17 of them. Funky Pete says Costco headquarters is literally Seattle. His money is going to one of the most liberal cities in the country. Like I said, this one's kind of a mishmash of things that I've seen scrolling Reddit. This one is in the men and females subreddit. This person says this is in response to a woman in the Bumble thread being concerned that she received a sexual message right out the gate. This person says, yep, many Generation Z females are decentering from men, and 30% of the Generation Z females are gay. How does he know 30% are gay? I used to be a Democrat, but I am not supporting women who hate men. Democrat woman, probably about 50% or more, hate men. They don't like all men, conservative or Democrat. Put conservative on your profile. So he says, I used to be a Democrat, but I'm not supporting women who hate men. Keep in mind, this was on a Bumble thread. So what does this have to do with this? I used to be a Democrat, but I am not supporting women who hate men. Just the one woman. Or does he see us all as just one monolith of just woman? Then they put this underneath saying, making sure he ticks every box on the men's right activist application. The ghost dragon at the bottom says, "Oh, this is the same wonderful person that featured in a post 2 days ago saying that gay women are throwing them under the bus." Clove, the OP says, "Laughing my effing butt off." Really? I recently commented on that one. The ghost dragon says, "Yep, seems like they're really stuck on that 30%, making life harder for them." Okay, presentation says, "Wondering why were females throwing this guy under the bus?" And Slith Wolf says, "Because they won't sleep with them." And Trickster Wolf says, "Too bad there was not a literal bus." True, true. If there was a literal bus, that would be much better, I'm guessing. All right, so that's all for my miscellaneous screenshots. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about these. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This question was asked in the Ask Feminist subreddit. She says, "How do you interact with non-feminist women?" She says, "I'm in my early 20s and have been a feminist for quite some years now, but as for most women, due to socialization, there's a point in my life where I had a lot of internalized misogyny, but through dialogue and unlearning, I found my way to feminism." And she's in her early 20s, so she found her way to feminism pretty early then. She says, "However, I struggle to have empathy or grace for women my age or older who still carry their internalized misogyny. They get so mean towards feminists and give men the benefit of saying, 'See, this woman agrees with me,' and I feel they should have outgrown it by now. I know we learn at different paces, but it's infuriating. So I guess my question is, how do you keep your emotions out of it and have grace for those who are still victims of their socialization?" It is challenging for me to have grace and empathy for non feminist women, especially women who get to have the benefits of feminism while acting like they're not feminists. They get to have, opinions, they get to vote, they get to have bank accounts, they get to go to their jobs without handing their money over to their husbands. They get to be single, they get to be child free if they choose. They get to have these opinions and do what they want without the fear of being checked into a mental institution for bucking any kind of tradition or cultural norm. They get all of these benefits, yet they on feminists. And I don't know, the internalized misogyny hits me harder sometimes than the misogyny from men, because with the misogyny from men I expect it. With women, you don't know you don't know when to see it coming. You don't brace yourself like you might when you have a male who is a misogynist. I struggle to have empathy and grace. Many times I'm really good in my block game in real life and on social media. If they start spewing the same talking points as men, I don't want to hear it regardless. And I might not be as quick, but eventually that block button is coming. But that's me. I would like to know what you would do or how you interact with them. In times past, I would ask a bunch of questions like, which benefits that came with feminism would you give back? And most times they won't give anything back. So it just, the whole sentiment is perplexing. It's like asking a a black person who is against DEI and the civil rights movement, which rights would you give back that have been won through the civil rights movement? And I'm sure that they wouldn't want to go back to the Jim Crow era or the era, before we were free and were still like sharecroppers or slaves or anything. I don't know. You all go ahead and weigh in. I am going to look at a few of these comments. INFP needs help says, "I understand that women also uphold the patriarchy. I'm confident in my beliefs and I'll comment where it seems helpful, but sometimes I just let it go and hang out with people who I like more. I write them off internally if it seems hopeless. And if I'm in the mood to argue, I will." That's a good answer. Gen Z writes, that's the OP says, "I think I'm always in the mood to argue, but it's exhausting lately. Sometimes you just have to put that down." it's not a good it's not a good use of energy to just go back and forth with these people. But she's 20, so 20 something, so she's still young and energetic. I don't have the energy to go back and forth with people. That's the reason why I end up blocking them quickly. um the person responds with, "Yeah, it can be healthy to just not engage too." Hop TJ says, my life got a lot easier when I realized arguing never solves anything, either online or in real life. You're never going to convince them you're right, even when you objectively are. So save yourself the hassle and just don't engage. That right there is some really good that's a really good strategy. Just don't engage. You're not going to change their beliefs. They believe that feminists are just man hating, evil women that just want to dominate and all that. They believe that. What's the purpose in going back and forth with them saying, no, no, I don't hate men, no. That's all your argument looks like to them. This person says, but you can plant a seed. If you want to plant a seed and then disengage, then cool, go ahead. San Lin hones in on the part where she says, but it's exhausting lately, saying maybe subtext that you're not actually in the mood to argue. I grew up in a very argumentative environment and have been unlearning step by baby step. And honestly, I don't know where the end is. Yeah, you don't have to argue. It's not going to change things. Run the Rand says, I limit my interactions when I can, but when I do have to engage, I treat them with kindness and respect while maintaining distance, like an acquaintance. They just wouldn't be friend material. And then the OP says, I think my problem after reading the comments is thinking I should be either friend or foe when I can be neither. Yeah, they could just be that person over there. You don't have to engage. You don't have to be friendly. You don't have to be like an enemy or anything. They could just be that person over there. Vivalon researcher says, I'm having this experience now. I met this woman in her professional capacity a while back. More recently, I saw her in a store where I work wearing Trump gear. I have to be professional with her regardless of how she acts. It would be easy to make fun of her after she leaves or whatever, but I'm trying to understand where she's coming from. Not that I would agree with what she believes, but to be able to identify the feelings, fears, motivations she has that led to having those opinions. In a professional situation, I clearly can't be hateful towards her and not face consequences. I also don't want to be hateful. That hurts me. I can be polite, joke with her about non-political topics, and maybe even treat her with kindness if I really work at it and watch myself. I don't have to agree, and I don't have to defend my beliefs for fear that somehow her thinking threatens mine. It doesn't. I can't change her. I can only be the kind of person I want to be and not put more hostility into the world. That is very adult like, and I like that. I like that she typed that up. Run the Rand says, I love your perspective. My grandpa always told me if you hold hate in your heart for someone else, it actually harms yourself more. Thank you for the reminder of that. So, what do you all think? How do you interact with non-feminist women? Go ahead and weigh in. Let me know. Answer that question. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I've talked about Operation FemFreeze before, but we need to talk about it again because December is coming up on us really quickly. And keep in mind, we said for December 1st through January 1st. And if you want to, you can extend this starting with Black Friday if you chose. But Operation FemFreeze, reclaiming our worth, defining our spaces, this December through January 1st, women across the country will participate in a month-long protest against spaces and practices that commodify them. Operation FemFreeze calls for women to withdraw from the following areas, and I am going to get out of the way of the PDF. So if you want to take a picture, take a screenshot of it, you can. Here is the screenshot for Operation FemFreeze and our objectives. Now, to make it bigger, bars and nightclubs. These venues often rely on women to attract more patrons with promotions like Ladies' Night to draw men in. This marketing treats women as part of the experience for male patrons and reinforces objectifying dynamics. You are on the menu. You are free to get in, so men can pluck you up right along with a drink. They are really commodifying women. So please avoid these spaces. Dating apps. It's tough out there anyway. These dating apps are terrible. It is male dominated, and these males are not even showing their best. So get off of them. Many dating apps depend on female users to attract men, often with algorithms that commodify interactions. Participants are encouraged to delete their profiles as apps use inactive accounts to attract male users. So do what you can to scrub your account before you deactivate. But regardless, get off the dating apps. Holiday consumer spending. To counter disproportionate spending expectations, women will cut back on excessive holiday purchases. Research shows women spend up to 30% more on household needs than men. So, this step promotes financial resilience, especially for Black and Brown owned spaces. But if you want to send your money to Black and Brown women, other women of color, please do so, especially for the holiday seasons. There are small businesses that could use your money. So take it away from the big corporations and send it to small businesses. This is a good one. Social media platforms. Women will disengage from male centered digital media, including red pill, manosphere content, and male centered pick me narratives. This also means avoiding interactions with trolls or negative commenters. Block people. Get off of the Twitter. Go ahead and deactivate. I finally deactivated and went over to Blue Sky. Go ahead and do that. It's much cleaner over there. Earning below our worth. Women business owners are encouraged to raise their prices, addressing the chronic undervaluation of female labor, fostering economic independence. And stop doing stuff for free. No more unpaid labor. Stop volunteering unless you're volunteering for another woman, for women and girls, or something like that. Stop doing stuff for free. Just stop it. All right, join the conversation. I gave you a screenshot of the PDF. Let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.